Well, we'll go across now to what we're tracking, the Maharashtra developments. It's now stretching out. Every day, more MLAs arrive in the Eknath Shinde Sena, yet he's not staking claim yet. And let's just look also at a warning coming from the Maharashtra police. They've said police across the state are on high alert because of a worry over violent Shiv Sena protests. This, as Sena leader Sanjay Raut once again said today, we challenge the rebel Sena MLAs to come to Mumbai. But let's just look at the top developments right now. Well, rebel leader Eknath Shinde claims 40 Shiv Sena MLAs. We've seen physical evidence of 38, 37 yesterday signed a letter. One more arrives today. Uddhav Thackeray says that Eknath Shinde attacks my son, but his son is an MP.
बाळासाहेब आणि ते सदैव आपलं दैवतच आहे. त्याच्याबद्दल काय मी बोलायचं कारण नाही. पण विठ्ठल आणि मग आपण जे काय माझ्यासोबत तुम्ही होते ते बडवे. आता हीच पद्धत ते कदाचित आदित्यबद्दल करते. म्हणजे स्वतःचा पोरगा खासदार, पण माझा पोरगा काय होता कामा नये. मी कुठे शिवसैनिकांच्या मुलाला काय अडवतोय?
Most MLAs, the Thackeраys meet at rank and file to try and retain the party. Both Thackeray and Shinde dig in for a long legal battle ahead. This, as a disqualification notice, is likely for 16 rebel MLAs, including Eknath Shinde, the Deputy Speaker from the NCP, a decision soon. Eknath Shinde is likely to move the Election Commission for control of both the Shiv Sena party and of the election symbol. But both the Thackeраys fighting back. Aditya, Thackeray now emerging, meeting with Shiv Sena office bearers today.
उद्धव साहेबांच्या फेसबुक लाईव्ह नंतर मला एक कळलेलं आहे की ह्या महाराष्ट्रात आणि ह्या हिंदुस्थानात आकडे असले नसले तरी ह्या 2.5 वर्षात जे आपण काम केलेले, मुख्यमंत्री महोदयांनी जे काम केलेले आहे, प्रत्येकाच्या हृदयावर सत्ता करणारा एकच माणूस म्हणजे उद्धव साहेब ठाकरे.
So there we have it. Let's just look first at the latest numbers and the latest developments, because of course now it is confirmed that physically Eknath Shinde has 38 Sena MLAs. That's one above the tooth-hit mark needed to prevent disqualification. But if you can go across to Sohit, who's currently at the Vidhan Bhavan, the Deputy Speaker has emerged as a key player in this. He is from the NCP and he is to decide on the disqualification petition against 16 MLAs moved by Uddhav Thackeray, and of course Sharad Pawar, the strategist behind this.
Well, that's right, Sonia. In fact, that is exactly what I was trying to look if someone is coming out, because the Deputy Speaker is inside this very Vidhan Bhavan since afternoon, and we have one of the applications, and in total there are 16 applications that have been filed, and the petition that has been filed by Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena, it has said that the Speaker's office has accepted the change of Ajay Chaudhary as the legislative party leader of Shiv Sena, which means that Eknath Shinde's camp's resolution of changing the whip has not been accepted, and that's the reason when a whip was called, they did not come. And as of now, yesterday there was an application that has been filed against 12 of the MLAs, and today a petition has been filed against 4 more. In fact, since morning, Arvind Sawant is inside. He is known to be a trusted aide of Uddhav Thackeray. I spoke to him yesterday late night around 11:30 or something here itself, when he filed the petition against 12 of them, which was accepted. The plea has been accepted, and now the Deputy Speaker has 4 more pleas. Every application is 44 pages long. Now the Deputy Speaker will also try to connect with Eknath Shinde and the rebels, asking them to give their side of the story on this as well. So it would be a very important decision that the Deputy Speaker will have to take, and whatever decision he takes, the person who is unhappy will definitely go to the court. So yes, the legal battle will begin from now, and this would be a very good thing, at least for the Uddhav Thackeray camp, because they will get more time. They want to buy more time.
Saurabh on that,
they are trying to see if they can.
Yes. I want to bring in Saurabh on that because he's at Matashri. So, Saurabh, of course, Sharad Pawar is also meeting with Uddhav Thackeray currently. It's interesting because, of course, Mr. Thackeray is COVID positive at the moment, as is the governor. But the fact remaining that this fight back seems to be clinging at desperate measures when there are so many MLAs, 38 MLAs physically appeared with Eknath Shinde. But the other big question, why isn't Eknath Shinde going to the governor yet if he has the numbers?
Well, there are two things, Sonia. One of the things is that if the BJP is backseat driving this, though they claim they're not, though they claim that it's an internal rebellion of the Sena, the fact is the BJP is once bitten, twice shy. They want to be absolutely sure that someone who claims to have the numbers actually has the numbers. And for that, it's a wait and watch policy. But beyond that, Eknath Shinde himself isn't sure that all the MLAs who are signing on the documents with him will vote on the floor of the House according to his wishes, because when they come back to Mumbai, they'll have to face the political language of the Shiv Sena, which they are so familiar with themselves because they're a part of the same working group. So I have with me Shiv Senics who've been gathering here in the rain. It's the Mumbai monsoon day and shouting slogans in support of the Chief Minister and his son Aditya Thackeray, Cabinet Minister. I'll go across to them. आपसे जानना चाहेंगे, आज एक बड़ा कंप्लेंट है कि जो विधायक है उनको उनकी बात नहीं सुनी जाती थी, उनकी जो अर्जी है उस पर काम नहीं होता था, राष्ट्रवादी और कांग्रेस के एमएलए के काम हो जाता था, और ये इस पे आप लोग क्या कहेंगे?
सबसे पहला तो ये कहना चाहूँगा, शिंदे साहब ने जो बताया हुआ है कि 52 एमएलए या 47, 40 जो भी नंबर्स उन्होंने बताया हुआ है वो पेपर पे है। वो सिद्ध करने के लिए तुम्हें यहाँ पे आना पड़ेगा, तुम्हें विधानसभा में हाउस में वो प्रूव करना पड़ेगा कि इतने सब एमएलए हमारे पास है। और दूसरी बात, जो संजय शिरसाट जी ने जो आमदार जो है उन्होंने जो पत्र लिखा है उद्धव साहब को, 4 दिन पहले उन्होंने वर्षा पे स्नेह भोजन में उन्होंने उद्धव साहब ने जो इनवाइट किया था उसमें खाना खा के गए हुए हैं।
आप कौन से क्षेत्र से आते हैं? आपके विधायक कौन है?
हमारे विधायक जो है हमारा बीजेपी का विधायक है, और हमारे जो विभाग प्रमुख है वो जो रमेश कुरगावकर, वो हमारे आमदार है शिवसेना के।
वो कहाँ पे है? वो इधर है उधर है?
यहीं पे है, हमारे यहाँ पे है।
आपके यहाँ पे तो आप उस दूसरी बात जो है, ऐसा कहा जा रहा था कि शिंदे साहब आदित्य ठाकरे के जो उभरता हुआ जो रोल है उसको लेकर नाराज थे।
आदित्य साहब जो कि फर्स्ट टाइम एमएलए बने हुए हैं, लेकिन इसके पहले भी उन्होंने एज अ युवा सेना प्रमुख करके काम किया हुआ है। ऐसा देखा जाएगा तो एकनाथ शिंदे जी के खुद के जो पुत्र है श्रीकांत शिंदे, उन्हें भी कुछ एक्सपीरियंस नहीं था, लेकिन उनको भी हमारे शिव सैनिकों ने खासदार बनाया हुआ है।
So that is of course, Sonia, the whole point that Shiv Senics like these are making, who are out on the streets today in the rain, braving the Mumbai rain. And many of the MLAs are also scared of that. They'll not say that, but the fact is that they have to go back and meet their constituents, and their constituents, the rank and file of the party, are still loyal to the Thackeray's, and that's something that Eknath Shinde will have a difficult battle to win. It's not the MLAs that will be difficult to win over, it's the rank and file of the Shiv Sena.
Right, because of course disassociating the Sena, the Thackeray's may be difficult, but no one expected just a few days ago that 38 MLAs would be with Eknath Shinde. So let's see how this plays out. Now Ratnadeep, over to you, because of course now there seems to be increasing political pushback on the fact that all this is happening in Assam, which is facing its worst floods in years in key towns. And of course that Himanta Biswa Sarma also emerging as the key strategist along with Devendra Fadnavis, that the Assam Chief Minister also playing a key role in these negotiations. In fact, the BJP disassociating itself, but Eknath Shinde saying yesterday that a national party is with us.
That's right, Sonia. In fact, what we can share with our viewers is that after 3 days of being inside in this hotel, today afternoon Eknath Shinde did step out of the hotel for almost 3 hours. Now, sources inside the hotel initially told us that he has gone to offer prayer in a Shiva temple somewhere close by to the hotel. But what we are picking up from our sources who are politically aware of what is happening inside are telling us that in all likelihood with this entire political crisis headed towards a legal battle, what we are getting to hint is that some members of Eknath Shinde's legal team are already in Guwahati. They're staying in an undisclosed location, and Mr. Shinde in all likelihood went out to meet them. This is one information, very important information which is coming out from inside the hotel. Also, this entire development clearly, indicates in terms of how Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma was given this important responsibility by the BJP leadership. Although officially BJP, remember, has not come on record, or neither Assam Chief Minister came on record to say that any which way they are involved. But what we are picking up from our sources and what we are seeing, outside the hotel, there is enough indications that Assam BJP leaders are helping the Shiv Sena MLAs, at least in terms of logistic management, and also, at least 3 Assam ministers are overseeing the overall management and monitoring the situation. That's what we are picking up from our sources inside the hotel.
Thanks, Ratnadeep, for that update. And let's go across now to this exclusive that Sohit had done with Eknath Shinde, really the man of the moment at this time. Eknath Shinde speaking to Sohit, making the point on the disqualification petition, both sides waiting eagerly for the decision of the Deputy Speaker and what their next plans are.
अगला सवाल ये होगा कि लगातार विधायकों के पहुंचने का सिलसिला जारी है। अभी आपके पास क्या आंकड़े हैं, कितने विधायक आपके साथ में हैं?
मेरे पास अभी यहाँ पर हमारे पास 50 प्लस है। 50 प्लस।
और इसमें शिवसेना के 37 से ज्यादा विधायक हैं या अभी भास्कर यादव के भी रीचेबल नहीं होने की बात आ रही है?
नहीं, अभी तो हमारे पास 37 प्लस हो चुके हैं।
अच्छा,
40 हो गए लगभग।
40 लगभग हो चुके हैं। क्या और भी लोग आएंगे वहाँ पर भाई? आप क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि और
जिनको हमारे ऊपर, हमारी स्टैंड के ऊपर भूमिका, जो हमारी आइडियोलॉजी है, सबकी जो भूमिका हो हम लोग आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं, और जिसको ये पसंद है वो आएगा।
कल आप और आपके साथ ऐसे 12 विधायकों की जो सदस्यता है उसे रद्द करने की अपील की गई है, एक प्ली दी गई है, आप इसे किस तरह से देखते हैं? ये कहा गया
वो इलीगल है, उनको कोई अधिकार नहीं है। मेजोरिटी में हम लोग है, और डेमोक्रेसी में नंबर्स को, मेजोरिटी का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस होता है। वो इलीगल है, वो कोई भी ऐसा इलीगल सस्पेंशन कर नहीं सकते। और मीटिंग अटेंड नहीं किया और उसको नोटिस देने का, पहली बात तो उनको जो व्हीप है सुनील प्रभु, उनको कोई राइट नहीं है, क्योंकि वो माइनॉरिटी में है और मेजोरिटी में हम लोग है, इसलिए कोई भी सस्पेंशन होगा नहीं। ये डराने की बात है, कोई डरने वाला नहीं है। हमारे सब एमएलए पूरी तरह तैयार है। हमारी जो महिला बहनें जो है उनको 2 नोटिस दिए है, उन्होंने भी कहा ऐसी 10 नोटिस आए तो हम लोग डरते नहीं।
अच्छा, क्या आप लोग भी डिप्यूटी स्पीकर के पास जाएंगे? क्या आप लोग भी अपना समय मांगने वाले हैं या आप लोग राज्यपाल के पास जाने की तैयारी कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, देखिए हमारे ऊपर, हमारे को जो लेटर लिखा है, नोटिस दिए, वो इलीगल है, उसके ऊपर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं होनी चाहिए, ऐसा हम लोग डिप्टी स्पीकर को रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे।
क्या आप
धन्यवाद।
गवर्नर से बात करने वाले हैं?
अगर हमारी अभी बैठक होने के बाद तय कर लेंगे।
और मुख्यमंत्री से क्या चर्चा शुरू है या वो अब वो रास्ता बंद हो चुका है उद्धव ठाकरे जी?
अभी ऐसी कोई चर्चा शुरू नहीं। ओके,
ठीक है, थैंक यू।
So another exclusive there with Sohit Mishra, Eknath Shinde speaking to us. But let's go across to Arvind, who really has a look at the legal options ahead. Because really, Arvind, this is now like a chess move. And of course, we have Sharad Pawar, a master of the game, but also pitted against a man who's emerged as another political guru at the moment, Eknath Shinde. No one thought he'd have so many MLAs with him. What are the moves and counter moves on currently?
Yeah, Sonia, it's not just the political battle that's playing out in Mumbai, but also contentious legal issues. After Eknath Shinde and 30-odd MLAs rebelled against Uddhav Thackeray, in order to save the government, Uddhav Thackeray has approached the Deputy Speaker with a plea to disqualify Eknath Shinde along with 15 other rebel MLAs for anti-party activities. So that particular disqualification plea has already been filed before the Deputy Speaker, and as we speak, what we are being told is that Deputy Speaker is considering this particular disqualification plea that has been filed by Shiv Sena group, and very soon he will be issuing notices to the rebel MLAs. Also, very importantly, Eknath Shinde has also hit out at this move, saying that he is real Shiv Sena and there is no ground to disqualify them. According to him and the rebel MLAs, they have not indulged in any anti-party activities. Not just that, in order to preempt the Deputy Speaker from acting against them or disqualifying them, 2 independent MLAs have moved no confidence motion against the Deputy Speaker, and they've also said, as per the Supreme Court judgment in the Arunachal Pradesh case, the Deputy Speaker cannot adjudicate this particular disqualification proceeding until this particular no confidence motion that has been moved against him is settled. So that's a big move that has been made through the independent MLAs. Also, what we are being told by our sources is that Eknath Shinde also wants to take this battle forward to Election Commission of India, wherein our sources say that very soon Eknath Shinde will be staking claim for the party and also, very importantly, the symbol of the party. That's very important move. In order to counter that, today Uddhav Thackeray also met with the top office bearers of the party to show it to the society and also to the people out, saying that the rank and file of the party is very much with him. Only few MLAs have rebelled against him, but the party is still with him. So that's the counter move by Uddhav Uddhav Thackeray, but also what is very important here is that why is Maharashtra different from Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh? In Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh, we saw BJP easily forming the government, toppling the opposition government. But here in Maharashtra, it seems to be a complicated situation because in Karnataka, at least 17 rebel Congress and JD MLAs, they were disqualified, wherein the halfway mark or the majority mark came down, which helped BJP to form the government. In Madhya Pradesh, almost 22 Congress MLAs voluntarily resigned, thereby bringing down the majority mark and then helping BJP to form the government. But in Maharashtra, it looks so the rebel MLAs, they don't want to either get disqualified or resign, and that's why we are seeing a complicated legal issues when it comes to Maharashtra.
Right, Arvind, thanks so much for that. And of course, the action now at Matoshri, that's where Uddhav Thackeray has moved after Varsha, the Chief Minister's residence. You can see there more and more Shiv Senics arriving. There's dhols. This was a little bit earlier this evening, but this is where the meeting is currently on between Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray and Sanjay Raut, who's been the Sena leader who's stood by Uddhav Thackeray and is of course blamed by Eknath Shinde for being the Chanakya behind this. Sanjay Raut has also just reached Matoshri. That meeting has now been on for about 2 hours. Let's see what they emerge with when the MLAs so far, at least 38 Shiv Sena MLAs are currently in a Guwahati hotel. The other big headline tonight, the Supreme Court gave its verdict on a review petition filed by Zakia Jafri, the widow of Ehsan Jafri, who was murdered in the Gujarat riots, against a clean chit given by a special investigation team to then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi. The Supreme Court had tough words, saying that this was just to keep the pot boiling and the petition was filed with ulterior motives. The BJP has welcomed this verdict while the opposition is silent so far.
An attempt to keep the pot boiling. That is what the Supreme Court said today, giving Prime Minister Narendra Modi a clean chit in a case alleging a larger conspiracy in the 2002 Gujarat riots. The plea was filed by Zakia Jafri in 2018. She's the 84-year-old widow of Congress MP Ehsan Jafri, who was among the 68 people killed at Gulbarg Society in Ahmedabad a day after a coach of the Sabarmati Express was burnt in Godhra, killing 59 people returning from Ayodhya and triggering riots in Gujarat. A 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court today in its verdict said that the plea is filed to keep the pot boiling, obviously for ulterior design. It said those involved in such abuse of process need to be in the dock and the appeal is filed under dictation of someone. The Supreme Court said the plea questioned the wisdom of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court approved Gujarat government's handling of the riots. It said timely and corrective measures were taken by the state government. The army was called in and a curfew was imposed. Then Chief Minister Narendra Modi gave repeated public assurances that the guilty will be punished. And mere failure or inaction of a section of state administration is no basis to infer conspiracy. The Supreme Court said there's no fault in the SIT's approach.
The Supreme Court also said that claims of witnesses such as police officials Sanjeev Bhatt and R.B. Srikumar, as well as then Gujarat Minister Haren Pandya about statements made by then Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi at a meeting during the riots are unsubstantiated. They had alleged that Narendra Modi had said, "Let Hindus vent their anger against Muslims." The Supreme Court said that the allegations were made only to sensationalize and politicize the issue.
The BJP is now citing the verdict to target the opposition.
SIT ने उस समय गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को 9 घंटे इंटरोगेट किया, 9 घंटे समन के बाद, और एक भी भाजपा के कार्यकर्ताओं ने विरोध नहीं किया। आज एक कांग्रेस पार्टी के नेता राहुल गांधी का हो रहा है भ्रष्टाचार के मामले में नेशनल हेराल्ड में, तो देश के सारे मुख्यमंत्री जो उनके 1-2 बच्चे हैं वो काम धाम करके दिल्ली में धरना दे रहे हैं।
It was in 2017 that the Gujarat High Court dismissed Zakia Jafri's plea against the SIT's closure report. A year later, she moved the Supreme Court. However, the hearings took place only in December 2021. And after this long legal battle, the top court too has dismissed her plea. In New Delhi with camera person Sudhish Kumar Ram, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Moving to the other big headline, well, India is all set to get its first tribal woman president. Today, Draupadi Murmu, the NDA presidential candidate, filed her nomination papers. Also filing her nomination papers with her were the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and present were all BJP chief ministers and senior cabinet ministers.
Former Jharkhand Governor Draupadi Murmu, accompanied by the Prime Minister and others, filing her nomination papers for the presidential elections. The 64 years old BJP veteran is the BJP-led NDA's candidate. In a show of support, chief ministers of BJP-ruled state, alliance partners and representatives from non-NDA parties like BJD and YSR were present.
बहुत ऐतिहासिक निर्णय लिया है आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी और हमारे एनडीए के सब साथियों की ओर से, विशेष तौर से एक महिला और महिला में भी विशेष तौर से ट्राइबल की महिला को सर्वोच्च पद राष्ट्रपति के इस दायित्व के लिए कैंडिडेट के नाते चुना है.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi signed the nomination papers of Murmu as first proposer, followed by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Home Minister Amit Shah. Her election as India's 15th president is all but sealed. BJP-led NDA also has 48.9% electors. BJD with 2.9% electors and YSR-CP with 4% electors have pledged support for Murmu. Murmu already secured 55.8% electors. Aam Aadmi Party, TRS and BSP are yet to announce their support for either side. Murmu is all set to become the first tribal woman leader to be the president of India.
Sources say Murmu has also reached out to opposition leaders like Congress President Sonia Gandhi, TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee for support in the upcoming presidential elections. With camera person Ashok Mahale, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
A quick look at other news. Well, the rupee hit yet another record low as emerging markets currencies crash against the dollar. Priyanshi has the latest on why exactly this is happening. Priyanshi.
Sonia, it seems to be a recurring news. Rupee has again slumped to a record low. It's currently at 78.34 per dollar. With this, it has lost 5% of its value just this year. Now, why is this happening? Rate hikes, inflation and recession fears are driving out foreign funds from India, and we have seen a record 27.9 billion foreign fund pull out just this year. This is reducing the demand for the rupee, hence taking its value down. Now, it impacts our exports on imports. Our imports get more expensive, increasing the pressure on inflation, and our exports get more competitive. And in fact, the currencies across emerging markets are losing their value, and the rupee is not the worst. Some currencies such as the Turkish lira have lost more than the rupee, but some have also gained. So the rupee clearly is definitely not either the worst or the best if we compare with other emerging market currencies.
And Priyanshi, just going across to the other big international story, a landmark verdict coming out of the United States Supreme Court, but it's actually a verdict which seems to set the United States backwards, at least in women's rights and abortion rights. What's the latest on that?
It takes them back by 50 years, Sonia, and this is a decision that could completely transform US politics and the American life, the life of the American women forever. The US Supreme Court has struck down abortion rights by overturning the landmark Roe versus Wade ruling. The ruling granted the right to abortion for nearly 5 decades in the United States. And the Supreme Court has ended constitutional protections for abortion. The country's top court in a case said that the Constitution, in fact, does not confer a right to abortion, and the Supreme Court voted 6-3 in favor of this ruling, and more than 24 US states are likely to ban abortion now that the 1973 legal precedent has been overturned with this decision. The decision that was unthinkable just a few years ago, it is the culmination of decades of efforts by abortion opponents made possible by an emboldened right side of the court that has been fortified by 3 appointees of former President Donald Trump. And the ruling, in fact, came weeks after the leak of a draft opinion by a judge indicating the court was prepared to take this momentous step. The expected rollback of Roe versus Wade had sparked widespread protests and condemnation across the United States, and now the US Supreme Court has formally struck down abortion rights, a decision that definitely will reshape American politics and take down the reproductive rights of millions of women in the US, and abortions will become illegal in many states.
It's absolutely unbelievable that in 2022 we're still debating a woman's right over her own reproductive choices, and that's what's happening in the United States as we speak. We'll have lots more on the developing story, but we'll take a quick break. But let's leave you with these pictures of what's currently going on in Mumbai as the stage is set for a battle now between the Thackeray Sena and the Shinde Sena. Shiv Sena arriving at Matushri, and the Maharashtra police warning of violent protests across the state by Shiv Sena. So let's see what happens.